is going on, Roundtable Sports? Welcome to the first ever Roundtable Sports Smackdown. Dan Mitchell versus Dose of Dion. I'm your host, Richie Malora, and we're going to get deep into this crazy matchup between the two best teams, arguably in their respective conferences, the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills. We got Dan Mitchell versus Dose of Dion. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the show right here on Roundtable Sports. Let's get straight into business. Dan Mitchell, Dose of Dion. This is the first episode of Roundtable Sports Smackdown, and what a better way to do it to introduce this show with one of the best matchups in the entire NFL regular season. Dan, how you doing today, bro?
So I'm going to tell you what. First off, Bills Mafia, spam Go Bills in the chat right down now. Spam Go Bills in the chat. Let your presence be known, because we have a damn juggernaut battle on Sunday that I am convinced the Buffalo Bills are going to come out victorious. But obviously, we are going to unpack a lot of that on today's episode. Fun fact for Lions fans and also for Bills fans on this, we have a little competition amongst fan bases here. If the Buffalo Bills win, then we are going to pick a random Bills fan that leaves a comment on this video after the conclusion and give you a Bills jersey of your choice. If the Lions win, then we are going to pick a random Lions fan that leaves a comment on this video and give you a Lions jersey of your damn choice. So we appreciate you for coming on in. And Dose, Troy, it's always good to collab with you, my friend. It's very rare that we're adversaries. It's once every 4 years, but what a damn year, man. Potentially a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, I mean, look, last time these two teams faced, it was like, oh, this team's for real. And it was actually a loss to you, and I'll give credit to Dan, because Dan, every time I've done a show with Dan, he's always believed in the Lions. He's believed when some of the Lions fans haven't believed. So I'll give credit. He's always been a believer that this was going to be the case. And now here we are, right? Two teams that are desperate for that dang Super Bowl. And look, man, that's the way I'm looking at it. It's like, we got the NFC North game out of the way, right? We beat the Packers. We handled business. That's a conference game. But this is just one of those where it's like, let's just put two dogs, and just see what the heck happens. Let's just see what this looks like. This is just fun. And maybe this is just part one. And I think that might be the case.
It could be part one.
This is going to be honestly, Dan, you said it. This could be the Super Bowl matchup, right? I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who is the best team in the AFC right now on paper as the first seed. The Buffalo Bills coming off an unfortunate loss against the Los Angeles Rams. The Detroit Lions, they just don't know how to lose since early on in the season, man. I'm excited for this. And we have a poll in the chat. Who are you representing? Who do you got winning this football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions? Shout out to everybody that supports the NFC North Roundtable. And, of course, shout out to the people that represent the AFC East Roundtable. We're trying to build something special here on Roundtable Sports Network. And this is a little taste of what's to come here on this YouTube channel. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel right here. This is the main network. This is the mother channel of all the Roundtable shows. You know that we have all divisions covered. NFC North, AFC North, you name it. All 8 divisions have their own separate YouTube channels. But right here, the Roundtable Sports main channel is where all the fun is going to begin starting today. All right, so let's get straight into it and talk about this game coming up, because I got a lot of interesting questions that I want to pose to you gentlemen, okay? First and foremost, we have Sean McDermott going up against Dan Campbell. Now, there's some people saying that Sean McDermott's job may not be safe, and that's just Bills Mafia saying this. So I want to ask you, Dose of Dion, what's your perception of Sean McDermott? What does he need to prove in order to save his job? Because there are some people in the Buffalo Bills community that feels like if they get first rounded, or even if they lose in the divisional round, or maybe lose in the championship game, some Bills fans are like, get Sean McDermott out of here. And me personally, I think that would be a mistake. Sean McDermott is a coach that has brought the Buffalo Bills to 5 straight division champions. What's your thoughts of Sean McDermott?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately here, you're not going to get much hate from me, because I think Sean McDermott's done a great job. I mean, we'll start it off kind of tame. I think he's done a great job, and I love the fact that it's transitioned into what it has been. Like, when you watched that game last week, Buffalo versus LA, that didn't look like the Buffalo team that we've all known this year, that we're like, this is the team, this is why they're scared, this is why Josh Allen isn't turning the ball over. You watch that game, you're like, this is not Buffalo, right? There's like no run game here at all, and it's because they fell behind. But what Sean McDermott has done, which was, I mean, we came into this season, I think a lot of people were down on Buffalo. Like, man, they just don't got the weapons. And they make the in-season trade for Amari, which is, I think it's been a great pickup, but I think it'll be better in the future. And they've been able to take a team that was a little bit more about kind of the flash and the Stephon and how that relationship was. And now it's about like, okay, these are what the best teams in football are. They run the football. It's heavy personnel. We're not going to turn the football over. And Sean McDermott consistently has a really good defense from the outside looking in. To this point, Dan, I think the most underrated aspect of the Bills is that secondary. I think it's well-rounded. I don't think you guys have maybe a superstar back there. But what you have is what a lot of teams don't, which is you don't have glaring weaknesses when healthy. And that's not tough to find. And that's tough to find in the NFL.
And so you know what, Troy? I'm not going to lie. You were making it very difficult for me to be mean to you on this stream right now, bro. So, because, like, honestly, I think that's his strategy. He's trying to, like, bring me in, be like, oh, I'm a nice guy. And then he's just going to punch me in the mouth here in about 10 minutes. And I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Like, listen, as far as Sean McDermott, if, for example, this team loses in the divisional round again, everyone at Bills Mafia is going to be lining up in the picket lines demanding that he is going to be fired. But unfortunately, it is not going to be the case. I genuinely believe that this ownership really likes what Sean McDermott has been able to do. I think that he had a giant insurance policy at the beginning of the season with all of the negative narratives surrounding this roster. Lost Stephon Diggs, lost Gabe Davis, lost some of our secondary, etc. And look at that. We have the best record that we have had since 1991 at the beginning this far into the season by itself. Yes, there are things that Sean McDermott that I would prefer he would do better. But the funny thing is, when it comes to this league, you are either a genius and an idiot or an idiot based off of one simple play, based off of execution. Dan Campbell is known for having stones of steel, going for fourth down and regularly converting. But how fan bases are wired and how they are operated, it all depends on whether or not that your players can ultimately execute. The difference between Dan Campbell and Sean McDermott 9 times out of 10 is that they are both equally aggressive, but Dan Campbell has luckily been able to have the personnel that can execute at the end of the day. You are so close from being a genius or a moron that needs to be fired immediately. That is how this league is wired.
Well, we have the poll right now. 64 votes and 69% nice has the Buffalo Bills winning this matchup.
Yes.
Guys, right now, vote in the poll who you got in this matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions. And also, don't forget to smash the like button if you guys are enjoying this show. We want this to get way over 100 live viewers. We're at 900 right now on YouTube. So make sure you guys hit those buttons because we're just getting started. Now, Dion, if there's a weakness to the Buffalo Bills that you think the Detroit Lions can exploit, that you think it really favors the Detroit Lions in this matchup that you're excited to see, which is the biggest weakness for the Buffalo Bills that you want to see Dan Campbell and the Lions take advantage of?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple weaknesses. First off, the big one for me is the offensive line. I don't think the offensive line's great. And look, I know the perception is the Lions are injured like crazy, and they have been recently, but the defensive line, if the latest injury report tells us anything, this is absolutely trending in the right direction towards a lot of these guys being back. And like I said with Buffalo, like this is a team that definitely wants to run the ball, and they utilize the running backs in a lot of ways, and they get them in the pass game, and I love that. And Josh Allen does some amazing things, but at its core, you want to be able to run the football. And what the Lions have been over the last few years, a very good run defense, and they're actually getting healthy there. So I start there first and foremost. Now, I think some of this gets minimized, the perception does, because Josh will literally have pressure and then make a 30-yard play out of it, and it's like, oh, it didn't really matter. But you can confuse the heck out of this offensive line from what I've seen. I don't think they always account for a lot of extra bodies in pass protection either. They're very fine with 5 guys on the offensive line with no extra support. So I think that they leave themselves exposed, especially when they have to pass, to that offensive line being a little bit shaky. And let me also just say this, all right? Maybe it's not the biggest weakness, but man, I really don't think, Dan, Amik Robertson, you guys going at it a little bit. I really don't think this receiving score is that scary. And this honestly has nothing to do with it. I'm just going to be completely honest. I think our secondary is going to... Look, here's the thing. This is what I thought. I was watching that last game, Dan. I was like, this is like cool, right? Y'all put up 40 points. Like, this is fun. But we're not the Rams. You know what I mean? Like, it kept coming to my mind. I'm like, we're just not going to get cooked like this. You know, like, it's just not going to happen. Matt Collins is not going to work. You know what I'm telling you? Like, that's the thing that stood out. So I'm just laying it out there that as we continue through, one of the biggest differences between this week and last week is I think our secondary is in a much better spot than the Rams, who are kind of just like putting tape on things. That's what it feels like. Darius Williams is their guy. That's putting a Band-Aid on something, Dan.
So Joseph Dion exploits the Buffalo Bills' weaknesses, and we don't need to ask Dan his thoughts of the Detroit Lions' weaknesses because he went on X to voice it himself. Okay, Dan, you already voiced your opinion. Khalil Shakir is going to have a day on Sunday. He'll be lining up against Amik Robertson, okay, who has a 52.4 PFF coverage grade. I'm taking the over on everything Khalil Shakir. So obviously Dan feels like a Khalil Shakir game is loading. And guess who saw this and responded? Amik Robertson himself. says, good luck, ... So, Dan, the floor is yours. Is this the weakness of the Detroit Lions that you feel like the Buffalo Bills should take full advantage of? And your thoughts of Amik Robertson responding to you on X? And look at that, has 4.7 thousand views, almost 500,000 views as well. No, 4.7K likes, almost 500K views.
Say, for example, Amik Robertson is watching this. I hope at the very first play of the game, when Khalil Shakir takes one for like 70 yards yak and burns you, that you just think of my face as he is running it into the end zone. All right? That is where I'm at. I'm just kidding, Amik. I'm a big fan. Obviously, I'm talking a little bit of trash here and there. But as far as weaknesses of the Detroit Lions, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. Defense is in complete body bags at this point, right? I actually like the matchups going into it. I trust Amari Cooper over a rookie in Terrion Arnold. I obviously trust Khalil Shakir over a Amik Robertson out of the slot by itself. But one thing that I think we really need to take advantage of right here is that this Detroit Lions team regularly shoots themselves in the foot, particularly in pass interference calls. They have 17 on the season already. So what I want Josh Allen to do, now that we are welcoming back Dalton Kincaid, now that we are welcoming back Keon Coleman, don't be afraid to target absolutely anybody at this point. And if history proves itself, Detroit tends to struggle against a team that has a mobile quarterback. And we just so happen to be having the league's elite when it rolls into this. This whole offensive line, we are number 4 in overall pass protection. So I'm not sure where you got that, Troy, that you're worried about our offensive line.
I watched the last game. I just watched last game. I watched last game. You watched the game too. You tell me. I don't know.
Yeah. But hey, listen, I have a feeling that Josh Allen is really about to solidify himself as the MVP. If he hadn't did it already this past week against the LA Rams, I think there's just way too many matchups specifically within the secondary. And even going back to this Detroit Lions offense, here's the thing. A lot of Bills fans hate me for saying this, but I genuinely believe we need to go with the exact same defensive game plan that we did against the LA Rams. What we did is that we focused on the run game, right? And you look at the box score and you see that LA's run game had about like 29 to 30 attempts on the ground, but we held them all to about 3 yards per carry. We do that against the Detroit Lions by picking our poison, focusing on the run, and we rely on our DBs to go on ahead and see what we can do. I have a feeling that we are going to be able to generate some sort of turnover at this point. Make no mistake, Matthew Stafford is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL against zone coverage. That was an anomaly. If you watch the tape, this Buffalo Bills defense had the tightest possible coverage you could have seen out on the field. The problem was Matthew Stafford was going out there and putting on an absolute clinic when it came into ball placement. Kupp, same thing with Nakua. We're absolutely catching everything. And if I know anything about a Sean McDermott defense, he is not the kind of guy that is going to allow back-to-back doo-doo performances from the defense. He has those guys. He tore them all a second asshole on the plane back from LA. They're figuring things out right now. They're snowed in. They couldn't practice today, but they are all thinking about how they are going to make a difference. Obviously, this Lions team is going to score points. They score the most points in the NFL. And I know Lions fans are excited about that. They're feeling confident. But guess what? You're also facing the second best offense in the NFL as far as points per game. This is going to be a shootout. The difference is if Buffalo can go on ahead and get back to their turnover ways. We have averaged 2 turnovers per game all season, with the exception of last week. I don't see that happening again this one.
All right, as the host, this is a new show here. So I'm going to ask the 2 men right here, Dan and Joseph Dion, to start putting an internal clock of 90 seconds limiting each take here, because we want to make sure that we get. I know it's easy going rants. I go on rants myself. There's nothing wrong with it, but we want to hear from Joseph Dion, because I heard Dan say something. And if there's one thing I know about my boy Joseph Dion, is he feels like his quarterback has a chance to win the MVP. Okay? And Josh Allen, of course, is the front runner right now. And Dan thinks, it's Josh Allen's award. But if I know my boy Joseph Dion, he thinks Jared Goff has a chance to win the MVP award. So Joseph Dion, the floor is yours. Will Jared Goff win the MVP? And I think we could both admit this is the game for him to put on an MVP performance and beat the Bills in order for him to secure that award. Do you think Jared Goff will win it?
Man, this is tough. Well, to me, I'll say this: he wins the award if they win this game. That's how I'd lay it out there. I think if they win this game, the Lions win this game, I think he's on track to win the award. The only thing we'll be keeping in his way is whether or not Saquon beats the record. I think if Saquon doesn't get the record, it doesn't really matter how great of a season he has. I don't think he'll get the award. But I think it simply does come down to, do they win this? Now, if they don't win this, I think, of course, Josh Allen's walking away with it. But yeah, if they win this game, they will. Well, first off, passing game-wise, a lot of similarities, if you just want to look at straight numbers. And here's the issue with the MVP award. I'm just laid out there. The voters that are voting for this are not watching it like we are respectively for our own teams, okay? They're not. They're going to look at the base stats. They're going to be like, that's the award. So when we look at the pass numbers, they're very similar outside of the interceptions. Goff, higher completion percentage, more interceptions for Goff. He had the 5 turnover game against Houston. The big difference that'll swing back in Josh's favor is he's got about 400 yards to scoot Goff's 40. All right? So I thought it was a little bit closer to that, but I guess it's not. Only 40 yards. So unless he goes for about 300 in this game, Goff has to have more wins and beat him head-to-head, because that does carry weight, I think, in the eyes of the voters. So because of that, I think that he will win the award if they win this game.
So you think this is the MVP matchup, okay? So, Dan, the floor is yours. Yeah. What does Jared Goff have to do to steal the award from Josh Allen? Does he have to have an absolute MVP performance and beat up on the Bills, or do you think this is just Josh Allen's award and there's no one even sniffing him?
So I think what has to happen is not only does Detroit need to win this game, I think that Jared Goff needs to go out there and put up yet another perfect QBR, perfect passer rating sort of game. He needs to be that sort of quarterback, because right now when you look at the Lions, they throw the ball the 5th least amount in the NFL. They love running the football, and that's great. Listen, if you have those weapons, if you can get ahead in the run game, solid screen game situation, relying on yards after the catch, right? Like really leveraging your weapons, that is fantastic. That's a great way to end up winning that. But if Jared Goff really wants to solidify himself, he needs to win this game, but also he needs to be a key contributor into the win. He can't go out there and throw like 15 passes and complete 12 of them and throw for like 110 yards. But then meanwhile, you have David Montgomery, and then same thing with Gibbs, rushing and receiving for a combined like 270 to 300 yards by itself. I think Jared Goff needs to put that out there, because the narrative about Josh Allen all season, number one, he's overrated, quote unquote. Number two, he has absolutely zero weapons. You see all of these talking heads all across the media saying that if Josh Allen could win with the current roster that he has right now, win the division, lead his team into the playoffs, then he obviously needs to win this overall award by itself. And I always love putting this out there. I always like to say, if you want to debate on who deserves to win the MVP, I want you to take away a player from that specific team. What would their record be? I think we can all agree at this point, if Josh Allen was ripped away from the Buffalo Bills, this team is lucky to win 5 games, if that. I'm not sure what Troy thinks. If Goff were to be ripped away from the Detroit Lions, what their record would be at this point. Probably nowhere near as good, but I think that's going to have to be the debate right there. I think Goff needs to lead his team to victory and also be a key contributor in order.
Chat, please let us know who you have winning the MVP, Josh Allen or Jared Goff. Is this game going to come down to the MVP award? If Josh Allen goes out there and beats the Lions, is the MVP solidified for Josh Allen? If Jared Goff goes out there and has another perfect game, does that kind of make things more interesting for the MVP award? And of course, there's other guys out there like Lamar Jackson, who's kind of fell back down to earth, who is still a dark horse for the MVP. Now, let's get deeper into this matchup between the two teams. Now, you look at the odds on BetUS Sportsbook, who is the proud sportsbook sponsor here at Roundtable Sports. You guys can check them out by using the code YouTube150, and you'll receive a 150% bonus on your first deposit, folks, and then a 125% on your next 2 deposits. That's up to $2,000 with the code YouTube150. Please bet responsibly here. Detroit's home, right? And we know that the home team usually gets the advantage, but it's pretty even. All right? If you talk about a spread that's even, this is it. The Lions are at -1, and they are favored to win with the money line at -130. The biggest line that I want to ask everybody, that I think everybody's confident that's going to happen, is at over-under. All right? It's at 54.5 points, and we saw the Buffalo Bills have a shootout with the LA Rams. And if we've watched the Detroit Lions closely, they score a lot of points. They like to run up the score. These are two dynamic offenses. So, Joseph Dion, are you confident that this is going to hit the over, or is it going to be one of those things where all the money is on the over, and then all of a sudden we got a low-scoring, defensive, gritty game before no one even sees that coming? So where are you at in terms of the over-under in this game?
Yeah, I think coming in, I would have leaned the under, but I'm not confident it does. I think it's really close to that number. My prediction would actually be the under for this game, and I think based on what Dan said. Yeah, because well, here would be my thing. What Dan said about like Goff having to have this type of game, and if it goes the way where it's Gibbs and it's Monty, and if he believes that's any possibility, then I don't see the world where this thing hits the over. I think both teams stylistically, when they're at their best, don't want to play a game where this constantly is going to hit the over. I don't think that's how they want this to go. It just could turn into that. Now, with that being said, being at home in this game, of course, when you're indoors and the ball can get flying around, that changes things. Turnovers changes things quickly, but I think there will be turnovers. So if I was to bet, I would say it'd be under at this point.
Under. Joseph Dion says
I bet the under.
Dan, I'm sure that you're going to say the opposite based off of our usual conversations.
Yeah.
You betting the over in this one?
So I think I'm probably going to go with the over on this one, but I'm not going to predict anything like 54 to 51 or 42 to 41 by any stretch of the imagination, right? I think that one team is going to score 30, and then I think the other is going to be like around like 24. I think what is interesting, say, for example, that I was a fly on the wall for both of these teams while they were putting together preparations. Number one thing that they are going to be focusing on, hands down, who dominates time of possession, right? A lot of the times, like when we're looking at 6 to 7 minute drives on both sides of the football, I think that that's going to chew up quite a bit of clock. And surprisingly enough, I think this game is actually going to fly by with a snap of the fingers. Of course, obviously, excluding any potential penalty that comes into it. But time of possession is going to be very key for both of these teams. So I have the over being hit, but it's going to be damn well close. That is for sure. Maybe a point or two above.
Folks, you heard it here first. We got Dan getting the over, Joseph Dion hitting the under. And if you guys want to make your bets, definitely go check out BetUS Sportsbook, the #1 online sportsbook on the face of the planet. We're very fortunate to be partnered up with BetUS. Now, guys, this is episode #1 of Roundtable Smackdown, all right? And if you guys are enjoying this, please do us a favor. Simply hit the like button because we feel like this could be a special show where we bring two of the creators within the network of Roundtable Sports together to debate their upcoming matchup. We want to do this for all the playoff games and all the big-time matchups coming up. So thank you to Dan and Joseph Dion for coming on here and being the creators to debut this show. We have a couple more questions for you guys, and shout out to everybody in the chat. We want to get this to over 100 likes. And if you guys are enjoying the show, a simple way you can do it is just run up the like button and also let me know in the chat right now if you are enjoying this style of show. It's new, it's fresh. What we're building here at Roundtable Sports is special, and we're very fortunate to have such a loyal fan base like you guys in the live chat to support us, okay? Now, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. We got to get through this game, but everybody around the league is talking about this matchup as a potential Super Bowl matchup. Now, the Buffalo Bills, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so now the Buffalo Bills are for sure one of the favorites to come out of the AFC, even though the first seed for the Bills seems to be far away after they lost to the Rams and the Chiefs escaped another victory. So my question to you guys is, how confident are you to win the Super Bowl? You see the odds on the lower thirds right there. Those odds are brought to you by BetUS, of course. The Lions are the favorite out of any team in the NFL to win the Super Bowl at plus 275. The Buffalo Bills at plus 600. And I think everybody around the NFL would like to see this Super Bowl. Two organizations that have been in turmoil for a long, long time, facing off against each other. This seems like to be the favorite in terms of what the fans want. Joseph Dion, you were this close to the Super Bowl last year, NFC Championship game. What's your confidence level of not only getting back to the NFC Championship game, but winning that and getting to the whole thing and winning it?
Oh, yeah, I'm very confident. Well, here's what I'd say, Richie. Here's why I'm really confident, because I look at this as this isn't like a, you know how, like when the Rams made the moves they made, even though they're still kind of competitive now, it was like, all right, they're taking the swings to go win right now. I don't have that feeling at all with the Lions, so I kind of feel like, in a way, like all this aggressiveness and the people that get concerned about it, it's like, but we're going to be back again next year. You know, I thought that last time we played the Niners last year, it was like, look, we're going to be back again. So I expect us to be back again next season, you know, regardless of how this plays out. But I think there's a reason that we're favorites. I think if you look at where the NFC's at, look, this is a better question for Dan. Y'all got to deal with the Chiefs. I mean, it is what it is. Like for us on ours, I mean, to be fair, like that's just what it is. For us, I think we have the best division in football. Our biggest challenges are within our own division. We're playing the best teams. I mean, you could argue Philly's up there. We'll see when that game comes around, especially if they have to come to Detroit. I'd love to see what that looks like. But outside of that, like I feel really confident because we are the most battle-tested division in the NFL. So I'd love to hear where Dan's at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, the Buffalo Bills, they've been to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost all 4. You were this close to getting to the whole thing 2 years ago. The Buffalo Bills, we can all agree, it feels like a Super Bowl or bust for the Bills. So what's your level of confidence that this is the year you get there and you win it?
So I'll tell you what, man, I have been watching this team for a very long time. I grew up during the drought season where we had a carousel of quarterbacks, a carousel of different head coaches. And there's always been something about a specific roster that I looked at and I said, you know what? At one point, I could see this going up all into flames when it matters most, right? I've obviously came out on my time on social media and I've sort of displayed confidence in every single roster, but always in the back of my head, I've always said, all right, I think I wouldn't be disappointed if we ended up making it to the AFC Championship, or I wouldn't be disappointed if we did better than last year, went one step further in the playoffs by itself. But this year is entirely different. I look at a team that is not bogged down by a diva wide receiver that needs the football at any given moment. I'm watching Josh Allen play the best football he has played in his entire career. He has hit his absolute peak in overall maturity. He's going out there. He's being a leader. Everyone on this team plays for each other. And the one thing that I will continue to say, and I sincerely believe this, as long as everybody on our defense stays healthy, because all I can think about is my post-traumatic stress disorder of remembering third and fourth string linebackers attempting to guard Travis Kelce in the divisional round last year. We need to bubble wrap everybody, specifically on our linebacker and also on our corners, to make sure that we can end up moving forward. I feel very confident about this. I'm not scared of any team in the AFC. This Buffalo Bills team is booking its ticket to New Orleans. I'm not sure who we'll be facing. Gut feeling is the Lions, but rest be assured, this team will be in New Orleans in February.
That's a lot of confidence hearing from Dan Mitchell. He's not worried about anybody in the AFC, okay? So that's a lot of confidence from Dan Mitchell. Now, let's get into the final score predictions, right? Dose of Dion, you're taking the Lions, okay? Dan, you're taking the Bills, but we want to say, why are the Lions going to win, and what's the final score, Dion?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, the chat. Look, let me address the chat real quick. It's like, yo, the offensive line is actually the best offensive line in football. Look, I got you, okay? Here's the reality of this. It's different when you have to play a different game, okay? Rams scored 40 points. When you got to throw the ball every play, it's a different football game, and that's the point, man. I don't trust him in drop back passing all the time. I don't trust Torrance at right guard to deal with Lee McNeil. I just don't trust it. That's where I'm at with this. But in reality, the reason I think we'll win this game is, like Dan, what you pointed out is last time we played you guys, that was a heck of a matchup, and I'm excited because you have a healthy Josh Allen, which changes it this time. He wasn't healthy last time, and I remember that well because he wasn't moving right, and it was like, what the heck is this? But you guys still won that football game. I think this time around, the mobile quarterback thing I'm pretty confident with. It's just we don't play the same style. We won't play with the spy, but I think at this point you kind of just know that is what it is. So it is going to be about how do we handle our pass rush lanes. It's always what it comes back to. But honestly, our division has been riddled with guys like this for a while that are going to take off and run. I'm confident because I think our secondary is better than what most teams that you've seen specifically in this past week. And I would say on top of that, I think that the Lions, their biggest challenge is going to be dealing with this defensive front for Buffalo, specifically at the edge position and that cornerback room. But Ben Johnson is just a little bit different when it comes to attacking teams schematically. And what I saw from Buffalo when they're going to play all these zone looks, first, second down, trust me, Dan, they're going to be as on schedule as you're going to see all year. They're not going to put themselves in these tough situations. Ben just doesn't, he won't let that happen. And you know that's true. You know what I mean? You're sitting there like, dang, I forgot Ben Johnson's over there. You didn't forget what you wanted to forget. And I get it, man, because there's going to be a fake punt the first time we get the football. Even if it's not fourth down, we might fake the punt. Dan, I'm just letting you know now. The Lions will win this game. And if you want my score, I'm going 30-21 Lions.
30-21 Lions.
30-21.
Wow. 9-point victory from the Detroit Lions, according to Dose of Dion. Right now, the poll has 62% of the Bills winning. That's 123 total votes. So, guys, vote in the poll who you got winning in this game. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Roundtable Sports Network, and hit the like button. Let's get this to 100 likes. Dan, the floor is yours. How are the Buffalo Bills going to beat the Lions, and what is the final score?
So again, I think the Buffalo Bills are really going to leverage as much as we possibly can in favorable matchups. Again, Amik Robertson, you are about to have a long day. Khalil Shakir is about to go for 120 yards and absolutely dominate the yak situation. I also really like the matchup between Amari Cooper, and I also like that against Terrion Arnold with the rookie by itself. I just think that this offense that the Detroit Lions defense will be facing is something that they haven't really had that reality check as of right now. Yes, a lot of what everyone is confident about is that they have been all but certainly pulling guys off of the couch to fill in some of the major holes within their defense. But you have to look at some of the matchups that they've had for the past couple of weeks. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with holding the Indianapolis Colts to 6 points. I'm not impressed with holding the Jacksonville Jaguars to 6 points. We are talking about a team in Buffalo that has put up 30 points in the past 8 games. We put 30 points up against the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time in 2 years, arguably the best defense in the NFL. I think that this team has hit a stride, and I don't think that we are going to stop. I think that we are going to have a tremendous game in the run game with James Cook, with Ray Davis. I think it's about to be an offensive masterclass from Joe Brady, who I believe is going to be a head coach next year. And I have respect for the Lions. I always have had respect for the Lions. I was a believer in the Lions before Troy was a believer in the Detroit Lions the past couple of years, for all that I have known him for. But it's going to come down to this, right? I look at Jared Goff. He has thrown 10 interceptions all season. All 10 of them have been against zone coverage. The Buffalo Bills run zone coverage. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to pick their poison. I think that they are going to focus on stopping the run game, ideally holding these running backs to 3.1, 3.2 yards per carry, and upping the passing attempts that Jared Goff needs to throw out there. The more passing attempts, the more opportunities for mistakes. Here's my hot take for the game. I think Detroit ends up turning the ball over twice. 1 interception and a fumble.
Score prediction?
Score prediction, I am going 31 Bills, 24 Detroit Lions.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Everybody in the chat, spam your score predictions right now. And also, when this show's wrapped up, let us know in the comments your score prediction. And also want to remind everybody what Dan said at the top. We are giving away a jersey to the winner of the Bills and Lions game. So, for example, Bills Mafia, after this show is wrapped up, comment down below your score prediction or anything Bills related. Detroit Lions fans, you do the same thing. And then after the winner of this matchup between the Lions and the Bills, we're going to go into the comment section and pick a winner. But the big thing is you have to be subscribed to this channel in order to enter for a chance to win. We will reach out to you and you will win an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey, Jared Goff jersey, Josh Allen jersey, James Cook jersey. We shall see who will win this matchup. And folks, if you enjoyed the first ever show of Roundtable Smackdown here on the Roundtable Sports Main Network YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and let us know how you enjoyed it. I think this is something special brewing here. So, Dose of Dion, any last words before we wrap things up to your counterpart in Dan Mitchell before you get into the battle of the Bills and the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, I'll absolutely be in the comment section because if I win, I'm going to get a Meek Robertson jersey. Then I'm going to send it right to Dan Mitchell so he can put in his background. So, yes, get in the comment section.
Yeah, we're not picking you.
Okay. Look at this guy. It's fixed, Chad. It's fixed. No, hey, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. This is an awesome show.
Dan Mitchell, final words before we wrap it all up.
Yeah, listen, man, this is a wonderful show. Shout out to the producers for putting this all together for us. I think we're going to start doing this on the network. We're going to go on ahead and pick the most popular game of the week and have the 2 creators on to battle it out each and every single given Sunday. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check out Troy on Dose of Dion 2.0. Troy, I know that you live react and play-by-play each and every single game. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Bills fans, I'm going to need you to go over to Troy's channel and go subscribe to him, right? Because I know that you probably will have a lot to say if the Buffalo Bills go out there and absolutely lay the hammer down on the Lions on Sunday. Go on ahead, show him some love over on his channel. He does a great job. He is the best Lions representative on the face of the planet for the NFC North. Go on ahead, show him some love, and go subscribe over to his channel. He does a great job. He knows ball.
Absolutely. And also don't forget to subscribe to the NFC North Roundtable. That is live Wednesday, 6 p.m. EST. Same thing that Dan and I do at the AFC East Roundtable. We got the NFC North Roundtable as well as all of it. And Dan, I appreciate you shouting out the producers, man. That meant so much to me. Much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to hit the like button if you guys enjoyed. And maybe we'll do this for every single playoff matchup. You never know, all right? So stay tuned. There's so much content coming on this channel, folks. If you've been following the Roundtable Sports journey of all these division debate shows, that's just the beginning of what we're building here at Roundtable Sports Network, all right? We have a lot of fun things in the works in the back end, and we're excited to bring it to the surface. It's going to be a good time. So hit the like button, folks, and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring Roundtable Sports all season long. Use that promo code YouTube150 when you sign up. Bills Lions. We'll see you guys then. Peace out, folks.
Deuces.